over 300 FPS in game. A lot of people in my last video were commenting, asking how my performance is so high. So this is basically going to be a full breakdown of all the settings I'm running, game settings. I think this is one where I see a lot of people mess up, where they think, oh, if I just put my settings on low, I'll be good, I'll get the most frames. Where in some games that is the case. In this game, it really isn't, because this game is very CPU intensive. So with my setup, for instance, I get more FPS with my game on medium rather than low. So yeah, something to keep in mind, something you can test. Now here's the settings. FOV will affect performance. So 75 is going to be the biggest performance hit, but you're also going to gain more clarity from that, obviously, having a wider FOV. The automatic RAM cleaner, I kind of recommend everyone to have on, because it's actually going to help with memory leak issues, which this game is very notoriously known for having issues with that. And then use physical cores. That's something that you're going to have to test on your own. It's going to be very different for every setup. I personally don't see much of a frame difference using it and not using it, but you might see a big performance jump. Moving to the graphics tab, screen resolution, that's going to be your monitor resolution. This will affect performance, but you probably want it on what your monitor is. Aspect ratio, you can mess around with. It shouldn't really mess with performance, but it's going to make enemies look wider and bigger. So, you know, maybe personal preference. Screen mode, borderless is kind of the default now. Monitor, again, that's just your monitor. VSync, I would keep this off unless you kind of know what you're doing with G-Sync, V-Sync, custom stuff there. Texture quality, I have on medium. Again, test with your system. Shadows, low. LOD quality, that's going to be the quality of things loaded very far away. 2.5 I feel works good for me. Visibility, don't really need any more than 1500. Cloud quality, low. Everything else basically low or off. DLSS, I'm using the new model M, which obviously I've talked about a lot in my previous videos. And yeah, I have everything else off except for anisotropic filtering, where I have that on per texture just because I feel it looks a little bit better. Also, Nvidia reflex low latency is on to reduce input latency. But yeah, everything else I would leave off. The only thing I would touch is the low texture resolution for Streets of Tarkov. I feel like that's probably going to be a big performance increase for everyone to have that enabled. But yeah, that's going to be it for in-game settings. Let's move on to some Windows settings. So these are pretty easy to do. You just got to go into settings and then go to power options. And this one, you're basically just making sure that the CPU is staying at its highest possible frequency. And then here, we're going to optimize for Windows games and have hardware accelerated GPU on and variable refresh rate on. All right, so now we're going to go into Nvidia control panel. And again, these are pretty easy. A lot of this is going to be set by default, but you can just go ahead and make sure that you have same setting as me, unless you want to change it for something specifically. Basically, everything's off or performance based. I'm not going to go through each setting here because it would take forever, but I'll go through some of them. So like low latency mode, I have on. I also have G-Sync turned on just because I'm getting under my refresh rate for the frame rate. So that's something that you can look into as well. And making sure that V-Sync and stuff is off. You can go ahead and pause and just make sure that, you know, you have everything set the way you want. G-Sync, I would look into it because like I don't want to explain it here in full detail, but it's kind of like V-Sync where it helps with tearing. And then there's also desktop color settings. This isn't going to help with performance, but it can make the game look a lot better, having better contrast and having better gamma settings. So now we're going to move into Nvidia app settings, and there's really only two things you want to make sure that you have on here. Also, don't click optimize in the top right corner. You see optimize, don't click that because that's going to change all of your in-game settings, and we kind of don't want that. But yeah, we're going to make sure that DLSS override is on preset M if you're running DLSS 4.5. And then smooth motion I have on. I'm still kind of testing with it because it does affect input latency, but that's where you're going to get 300 frames. That's where you're going to get crazy FPS markers. And, you know, you can test with it, see if you like it. I do believe AMD has something called like fluid motion or fluid frame. Now, if you have a graphics card that doesn't support smooth motion, because I believe it only works on RTX 4000 and 5000 series, you can download this application called lossless scaling. And maybe I'll do like a separate video on how to set that up and how to use it. It basically does the similar thing as smooth motion. Now we're gonna get into some more complicated stuff. This is where you could start messing up your computer if you're not careful. Like, I don't think it would do any permanent damage, but you can crash your computer if you don't do some of this stuff right. So this is overclocking through MSI Afterburner for my graphics card. I have a very kind of modest overclock, nothing crazy, but I would recommend searching up your specific system and your graphics card and kind of seeing what a normal overclock is for it, if it's something you're interested in doing. And it's something that you can mess around with. I do believe there is also like an auto overclocking feature through MSI Afterburner. So you can check that out too. Kind of wanted to shout out some, other videos you can check out as well. I really think the physical core one could be a big performance difference for a lot of people depending on your setup. So that's something that I would definitely look into and kind of see comparison videos, or even, try stuff yourself. Also looking at your motherboard, like BIOS settings, making sure that your drivers are up to date through Nvidia and through your chipset drivers for your motherboard and your BIOS. All of that is extremely important, as well as making sure that you have XMP enabled for your RAM to be using its full speed. And you can even get into CPU overclocking. Anyways, I really appreciate you guys watching. This was kind of cool to make because it's something that I feel I constantly kind of know about. I'm on the up and up with all the new updates and all the new settings. And I thought it'd be cool to just share with you guys what I'm using. And yeah, anyways, I'm going to leave you guys here with another Arena video. And I also have my performance metrics in the bottom right, as well as my specs on the screen right now. So you can kind of see what performance I'm getting here. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.